Hello. Alright, so, my life has turned into a super spy novel. I'm laughing. Anyway, let me begin. 20 years ago, I met a man online. He claimed to be from India, and where's the camera? He was going to school at Harvard. Excuse me, I need a beer. He was working for, he was a graduate student at Mark Hauser's lab at Harvard in Boston. He told me he was a Rhodes Scholar, and that he was going to Harvard, and I thought, that's amazing, that sounds perfect. I would love to date someone like that. I was 21 at the time, and, didn't think anything of it. He was a little weird. I'm gonna have a third beer after this. He was a little weird and geeky. And anyway, we had been dating for a year. I had been staying with him in the Harvard dorms and sharing a dorm with him, even though it was against Harvard rules. But he invited me to see his lab, Mark Hauser's lab, in the middle of the night. Anyway, we get there and everything, and for some strange reason he calls Mark Hauser, and I don't know why. And I'm sitting in his office and everything. He's like, "Do you want to see the monkeys?" And I'm like, "Yeah, okay, I want to see the monkey. That's really cool." I go upstairs and I see the monkeys, and they're so cute. And he lets me feed them marshmallows and stuff. But the only thing is, they are in really tiny cages. And they are fed marshmallows and raisins. I don't know if that's in a monkey's diet, but whatever. And then he shows me this one cage where there are two monkeys. It's a male and a female, and the male keeps beating up the female monkey and stealing her food and everything. And I'm like, that's kind of mean. That's so sad. Why are you doing that? And then he shows me the booths that they place audio sounds for the monkeys. And they would be like, go, po, ro, mo. And I'm like, okay, what are these for? He said they're for the monkeys, but I don't see where the monkeys sit or anything. And I'm like, okay, this is really weird. Then I go back downstairs, and Mark Hauser himself shows up with 2 security guards. And I'm like, what's going on? And again, let me back up. Sam called from his office. I don't know why or anything like that. And anyway, so he said, "Oh, you called from the office number in the middle of the night," and I was wondering why. That's why I showed up with 2 security guards. And then, I'm like, "Oh, I hope everything's okay, blah, 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 blah." And I'm like, damn, I'm lucky I wasn't in that upstairs monkey lab when he came, because I'm not really allowed up there. So, and then a week later, one of the monkeys dies. And they're like, "Sam, what happened to the monkey?" And I'm like, what? And I think they're trying to blame me for the monkey's death or something. And I'm like, what's going on here? And anyway, what else? Now fast forwarding 20 years later, Sam is a professor of music at University of Michigan, and he's highly abusive. Um, Treats me like shit, and it was really weird. He withheld children from me, like I had previously become pregnant with his child, but he forced me to have an abortion. And then I'm like, well, I'm 35 now. I really need to get pregnant, and you're not letting me have children. So I'm like, I went off and found a donor to have children with, one child. And I returned back to Sam. Like, we work everything out and everything. Anyway, my son is like born in University of Michigan Hospital. Only like when he's born, I'm autistic, so I have trouble noticing things, like big things. I'm retarded, like in that way. And my son was born not crying at all. And it was weird. And I don't know, now he's showing developmental delays, so I think that they purposefully didn't get him breathing or anything. And it's really creepy. Let me just say that my husband was recently, and he's not my husband because it was a false marriage, was deported on terrorism charges. So, yeah, so, I don't know, anyway, creepy stuff, and, I don't know if he set something up in that birthing center at University of Michigan to, brain injure my child, but there's something seriously wrong in that hospital, and yeah, uh, yeah, I'll leave it at that, and, uh, 20 years, and I didn't know.